On the 14th of August 2004, something unusual happened. A group of NBA players representing the United States men's national team lost in the Olympics for the first time since NBA players were allowed to be in their lineup. This team, which had NBA stars such as Allen Iverson, Tim Duncan, Stephen Marbury, Lamar Odom, and Amare Stoudemire, with rookies LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, and D. Wade, had just suffered an embarrassing loss to a Puerto Rican team that had only 3 NBA players. This wasn't good, and people should have seen it coming. Just 2 years prior to the Olympic tournament in Greece, the US had been knocked out by eventual champions Yugoslavia in the quarterfinals of the FIBA 2002 World Championship, and although the United States was expected to win not just the opening game in the Olympics, but the gold medal as well, they ended up settling for the bronze medal after suffering a second loss to Lithuania in the preliminary round, and then getting knocked out by Argentina in the semi-finals. Prior to the 2004 tournament, the United States had been the most dominant force in men's basketball, winning 12 of the first 15 gold medals, and it seemed inevitable that every other nation had to settle for bronze or silver coming into every Olympic tournament. However, by 2004, talent gap between the US and some of the most elite teams in basketball such as Spain and Argentina had gradually declined, and with this decline it became more apparent that you needed more than just individual talents to win in basketball, proving that the best basketball teams are not always composed of the best players, but rather a combination of talent, team chemistry, and excellent coaching. And although the US had always had the best talent on the court, to get back on top, they needed to get the right head coach who could help them build team chemistry. And as fate would have it, they got Coach K. And according to a writer on the official FIBA website, James, Wade, and Anthony, as well as Colangelo and Coach K, spearheaded a turnaround that has seen the Americans go unbeaten in Olympic competition since. Same players, great coaching, different outcome. Believe it or not, this isn't just the story of the US men's basketball team. The narrative of having a good coach or bad coach and how it affects the success of a team is a story all athletes and sports teams can effortlessly relate with, be it a football team or a soccer team or a basketball team. Even NBA teams are not exempted from this yin and yang dance. In this closing NBA season, we've seen head coaches such as Steve Nash, Doc Rivers, Monty Williams, and Mike Budenholzer all being laid off for one reason or the other. And although there are those who believe extremely talented teams or players don't need a coach, this is no farther from the truth that 1 + 1 being equal to B. Such people believe the dream team would defeat any team without good coaching. Well, maybe. Or the Chicago Bulls would have eventually become a dynasty without a great coach. Maybe that's true as well. Have even heard some say Steve Kerr is not a good coach because he had the privilege of coaching two of the greatest shooters of all time. Again, maybe that's true. But there's a reason team owners and general managers go out of their way to hire and retain good coaches. This is because they know what some of the fans do not know, that while shared talent and hard work alone can lead an exceptionally skilled player or team to the doors of greatness, it takes an equally skilled coach to forge the right key out of that team or player to open that door and cement their legacy. In the history of the NBA, there have been 346 head coaches. We have the well-known coaches like Phil Jackson, Greg Popovich, Doc Rivers, and Pat Riley, and those who are not so popular such as Bob Stark, Rod Thorne, Albert Soa, and a former NBA League MVP, Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson coached the 1994 Lakers and won just 5 of the 16 games he coached, which is not so good a record for arguably the greatest point guard of all time. Out of the 346 head coaches the NBA has seen, how many do you think have won an NBA championship? Probably 50 or 45. Truth is, only 35 of them have been able to win at least one ring. But winning an NBA championship is easily the hardest thing to accomplish in the NBA. So let's do this instead. How many of these 346 coaches do you think have a winning record in the playoffs? The number is still just 57. What this number tells us is that only 1 out of every 7 NBA head coach has the chance to at least get to the second round of the playoffs, while only 1 out of every 10 appointed head coach has the probability of leading a team to win an NBA championship. And to make the numbers even more revealing, while 35 coaches have won the 76 available championships through the NBA's long history, 6 of these coaches have combined for 39 of those championships. They are what a person could call the ultimate keymakers, and are no doubt the greatest coaches the game has ever seen, because they've each proven that winning one title may be just luck, but having more than 3 takes a level of mastery. Phil Jackson won 11 championships, Red Auerbach won 9, Pop, Pat Riley, and John Kudla have 5 apiece, and Steve Kerr has 4 rings. The fact that only 6 coaches have been able to win more than 2 championships further cements the undeniable truth that winning in the NBA is hard, and sadly, not all good coaches get a ring. But be a multiple championship winning coach like Eric Spoelstra, or one who managed to have the playoff runs like Mike Brown, The one thing that is applicable to every good NBA coach is their ability to turn the fortunes of an NBA franchise around, taking them to the next step in their journey. This could mean turning a team like the Sacramento Kings, who had not made the playoffs in 16 years, into a team that takes the defending champions to a Game 7 in the round 1 of the playoffs. Or it could mean that you led a team whose struggle was getting past the second round to an NBA Finals berth. Good coaches accomplish this by doing the most with the player talent they are given, scheming a system that maximizes the strengths of each player while simultaneously eliminating the drawbacks their weaknesses could bring to the team. And to see just how coaches manage to execute this, we need not look further than the man with the most rings himself. Phil Jackson single-handedly has more three-peats than any NBA franchise, coach, or player in history, repeating twice with Michael Jordan and the dominant Chicago Bulls team of the 90s, and fell short of doing it twice with Shaq, Kobe Bryant, and the Lakers. To put some perspective on the coaching impact of Phil Jackson, MJ, Shaq, and Kobe played a combined 31 seasons without Phil Jackson as their head coach, and they won the NBA Finals once, just one ring without the man, which was Shaq's rings with the Miami Heat. Like I said earlier, a great coach needs a great team, and a great team needs a great coach. As a legend of the game, Phil Jackson is most popular for his triangle offense, a system he mastered more than anyone. The triangle offense is a basketball strategy notably developed by Tex Winter, who served as assistant head coach under Phil Jackson on the Lakers and Bulls coaching staff. The goal of the triangle offense was to space out the players on the floor in a way that any player at any time could effectively pass the ball to an open teammate, hence maximizing the efficiency of every possession and getting the best shot possible. In order to efficiently implement the triangle offense, Phil Jackson needed his players to trust each other instead of playing iso ball, notably Michael Jordan, who was used to playing 1v1. Prior to taking the helms of management at the Bulls in 1989, the previous head coach Doug Collins had given MJ the green light to be the beginning, middle, and end of the entire team, taking all responsibility on himself. And while that took them to the Eastern Conference Finals, they never won playing in such a system, because believe it or not, Michael Jordan's greatest strength was also one of the team's greatest weakness. And Phil's first line of action as head coach was to convince Michael Jordan to share responsibility with his teammates rather than being a one-man Swiss knife. This led to MJ being more of a well-rounded team player and Scottie stepping up to take the role of a facilitator and primary defender on the team. Jackson's offensive strategy led to team success and individual success for the players he coached. Under Jackson, the Bulls had some of their best regular season records and won 6 championships. MJ won 7 scoring titles and 4 regular season MVPs, and Scottie Pippen made 7 All-Star appearances, 7 All-NBA teams, and 10 All-Defensive teams. And although Phil Jackson had many troubles working with Kobe, because Kobe wasn't as willing to sacrifice playing iso ball, Phil was still able to replicate his triangle offense success with the Lakers, first doing it with Shaq and Kobe, and then Kobe and Pau Gasol. This led to 5 championships and helped develop the players on the Lakers team as well. And up until date, no one has been able to replicate Phil Jackson's success with the triangle offense. But there have been other coaches who have crafted equally tremendous systems that led to championships. 2 of such coaches are Pop and Steve Kerr. With over 1,300 wins, Pop is the most winningest coach in NBA history. This is accredited to the fact that between 1997 and 2017, his team never won less than 50 games in the regular season. With the Spurs drafting Tim Duncan in 1997, Coach Pop introduced a system of beautiful basketball to the Spurs franchise that many people considered boring. Pop was able to build a dynasty with Tim Duncan and David Robinson, later including Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili. According to him, he attributed his team's success to continuity, a simple concept of repeatedly doing the same thing over and over again. Under Pop, the Spurs kept their core of Tim Duncan, Manu, and Parker. As a team, the Spurs system operated on free-flowing offense with spacing and pace, which almost sounds like the triangle offense, but a key distinction is that they never over-relied on one person to do the scoring. Under Phil Jackson, MJ was still far and away the dominant scorer on the team. This wasn't the case on the Spurs, as scoring was evenly distributed. This meant on any given night, a different player could take over. This system of team basketball, built on the foundation of basketball basics, was greatly appreciated by true fans of the game. Under the tutelage of Pop, Tim Duncan won 2 regular season MVPs, was named to 15 All-NBA and All-Defensive teams. In addition to that, the Spurs won 5 championships in 6 finals, and up until date, the San Antonio Spurs are still regarded as arguably the best organization for player development. Both Phil Jackson and Greg Popovich were head coaches of Steve Kerr in his time as a player, and both their coaching styles have influenced Steve as a coach. According to Wikipedia, during the 2014-2015 season, the team's offense employed elements of the triangle offense from his playing days in Chicago under Phil Jackson, the spacing and pace of Greg Popovich in San Antonio, and the up-tempo principles Mike D'Antoni and later Alvin Gentry used in Phoenix when Kerr was the GM. As a first-time head coach, Steve Kerr led the Warriors to 67 wins, the most by any rookie coach and by far the best record the Warriors had managed up until that time. He also led them to their first championship in 4 decades as a rookie coach, but the most notable decision by Steve Kerr came in Game 4 of the 2015 NBA Finals, when he inserted Andre Iguodala into the starting lineup with Steph, Clay, Dre, and Harrison Barnes. This was the beginning of what popularly became known as the Death Lineup, a small ball unit that sacrificed strength and size for playmaking and speed. But what made this lineup work was because every player outside of Steph was capable of defending larger opponents, most especially Draymond, and on the offensive end they were elite playmakers and shooters. The Warriors won the championship in 2015 and have gone on to make 5 extra NBA finals with 3 more championships to show for it. Under Steve Kerr, Steph evolved into an elite off-the-ball player, allowing Draymond to run the offense and using his gravity as a shooter to leave his teammates open for easy shots. Unlike us mere fans who depend a lot on the box scores and analytics to judge the game and rate players, NBA teams and coaches watch films and use the box score and numbers, not to rank players, but to see players' strengths and weaknesses and help them acquire strategies that are a perfect blend to create a winning team, while also trying to create mismatches for their opponents and exploit their opponents' flaws. Basketball, like all sports, is a game of chess, and the players, no matter how skilled, be you a pawn or bishop or even the king, are at the mercy of how well your coach has mastered the X's and O's of the game. So if you enjoyed this video, kindly like, subscribe, but most importantly leave a comment down below and click on any of these cards on the right to watch other videos I think you would find interesting.